What is up, everyone? It's James Dean here from LFC Transfer Room. Diogo Jota seems to be becoming everyone's preferred choice for a centre-forward at the moment. With Roberto Firmino being out for a considerable amount of time, Jota has slotted in seamlessly, but seems to be scoring a few more goals than Roberto Firmino normally would. This has led to many fans calling for Jota to be the first choice centre-forward for us. And at a time when we signed him, all the transfer talk was around Thiago, the fact that we didn't go for Timo Werner, and then out of nowhere we signed Jota. So what I thought I'd do is have a bit of a look into the journey of Diogo Jota and just see what makes this striker so effective for Liverpool. My name's James Dean, this is LFC Transfer Room, and this is the rise of Diogo Jota. So, Diogo Jota is a classic Liverpool signing. If we look here, we can see the positions. He plays centre-forward 65 games. He's played left winger 130 games. He's played right winger 11, second striker 47, and attacking midfielder, I think, once. But that versatile, can play any position, that sort of backup we feel we needed when either Mane, Salah or Firmino were out of the game. So Jota was the perfect solution to a problem. Maybe he'd be happy to play second fiddle to this front three that was ripping apart world football. But really, he started to come through, and it's about the evolution that he's had through Jurgen Klopp. And I think when you just look at how he's played for Jurgen Klopp, it's slightly different to how he's played for other managers throughout his career. Jurgen Klopp, he has only played three positions. He's covered the front three, and it's a pretty even split. You've got 13 at left wing, 6 at right wing, and 27 at centre forward. And if you consider the majority of his career was played at left wing, 130 appearances, Jurgen Klopp has already started to convert him into that centre forward, playing less on the left wing than he has in his entire career. But when we filter it down to this season, this is the season where he's had to cover for Roberto Firmino. And you can see 15 appearances as centre-forward, only 3 appearances on the left wing. And it's when you look at these stats, 15 appearances, 8 goals. He is becoming an effective and efficient scorer. One that I don't think people panic about enough. Everyone's worried about Mane, everyone's worried about Salah, and then Jota is seemingly just scoring goals for fun. So what is Diogo Jota doing that makes him such an effective forward for Liverpool? What is his performance levels? How does he compare to the front three? Let's have a bit of a breakdown. So to get a breakdown on Diogo Jota, we've gone to FB Ref to sort of break down his statistics and see how he compares to the rest of the footballing world. So to start with, normally the best thing to look at is which player is he similar to, and FB Ref, what they tend to do is look at all the data and see who's the most comparable player to him, and lo and behold, no surprise, the number one player is Roberto Firmino. So Roberto Firmino is the player that is most like Diogo Jota on a statistical point. Then you've got Luis Muriel, Solath, Martinez, Gabriel Jesus. But we can see the level of consistency. This is what Liverpool are looking for. They're looking for, if a player drops out, someone can come in. It's seamless. We still can play the same way. Everyone still knows their jobs. They know how to approach it. So the fact that Firmino and Jota are so similar really does benefit Liverpool from an attacking context. When we filter it to attacking midfielders and wingers, you also see that Jota is most like Sadio Mane. Then there's Lozano, then there's Mohamed Salah. So he has the capability to cover any of the front three and play the same way that Liverpool play. This is very important for consistency. This is very important for the way that we want to play in our high-press football. And Jurgen Klopp seems to have found a player in Diogo Jota that can mould himself to all three of our front three players. So whenever an opportunity is created, we have no drop-off in performance because Jota is playing as well as, or as comparable to, from a statistical point, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, and Roberto Firmino. But this is the rise of Jota and what makes Jota so special. So let's have a look at some of his stats here and see how he compares in world football. So one of the first things to point out here is his non-penalty expected goals of 0.65 per game puts him in the top 2% of players worldwide, on the 98th percentile, however which way you want to look at it. So he is being ruthless. The top 2% of players in world football. And this is against centre forwards. This isn't against attacking midfielders and wingers. When we do attacking midfielders and wingers, he's in the top 1%. But we'll stick, because he's playing a centre forward more, what we'll do is we'll stick to the centre forward comparables and not flip between the two. So the next thing to look at is you're trying to replace Roberto Firmino, who's out injured. The place you've got to go is straight away the greatest defensive forward, the greatest false number 9 in world football is Roberto Firmino, and let's look at how Jota compares. So the first thing to look at is gang press, it's pressures. Top 4% in world football, 21.57 pressures per game. And he's not just aimlessly running at people, he's in the top 2% of successful pressures per game of 5.81. So he is fulfilling the job that Klopp wants him to do. He's pressing, he's winning the ball back, and we're being successful. And it's that tackling from the front that's important. So as you can see here, interceptions is in the top 10% of players. Tackle plus interceptions is in the top 8% of players in world football. Defensively, Diogo Jota is creating a bed for Liverpool to counter-press from or counter-attack from, which is how we want to play. We want to win the ball back as high up the pitch as we possibly can, and we want to attack. So this is very much how Jurgen Klopp likes to play football. It's very much how Roberto Firmino plays football, and it's very much how Diogo Jota is playing football as well. A couple of things that Jota is slightly better at, and one of the things that worth thinking is successful dribbles that lead to a shot attempt. Top 4% of world players. Fouls drawn that lead to a shot play. Top 8% of players. Shot creating actions. Top 10% of players in world football. Diogo Jota is not just scoring goals, being in the top 6% of world players. He's also creating opportunities. So he's not just a defensive centre forward. He's also creating opportunities. He's been that conduit for the front two to score as many as they are. Even though Jota's the second highest scorer for Liverpool, he's level with Sadio Mane on 9 goals each. And I think he's third in the Premier League scoring charts behind Jamie Vardy. So what we're seeing here is Jota is progressing. He's creating opportunities and scoring opportunities and really turning himself into quite an effective Jurgen Klopp player that can be called upon in multiple situations to solve problems. So this wouldn't really be a video about the rise of Diogo Jota without looking at how he's improved himself over the last 4 years. So what we've got here is we've got the current season, and then we've got his last 3 years in the Premier League. So as you can see, on average, Diogo Jota scores around about 8-9 goals in the Premier League per season. But for Wolves, he played 30 odd games. For Liverpool, he's played 14 so far, and he played 19 last season due to unfortunate injuries. So already he is matching his numbers that he scored for the last 4 years. So it shows us that there's a level of improvement within Jota's game. What's really exciting here is the expected goals and assists per 90 minutes. Currently, that is at 1.04. And that's a massive improvement. So he's expected to score a goal or gain an assist every single game. And that's a huge statistic for Liverpool in terms of how the front three are playing at the moment and the number of goals Liverpool are scoring. As you know, we've gone the last 16, 17 games scoring 2 or plus more goals per game. Jota is expected to get a goal or an assist every game. And with only 1 assist, it probably means it's a goal. The next thing is with regards to his goal creation. It's worth pointing out here that he is shot creating actions per 90 minutes is 3.86. And that's improved whilst being at Liverpool. It was higher at Wolves. And I think this shows that he's getting more and more comfortable within the front three. He's getting more and more comfortable playing for Liverpool. He is now creating more actions because he feels he's making the right decisions at the right moments. And that's a really positive stat to show that it's getting back to that level. It's the highest, obviously, of his career at 3.87, if he can keep it that high. But he is not just scoring goals, he's creating goal-scoring actions. And with strikers surrounding you in terms of Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, that is going to lead to goals. Obviously, with Liverpool, we're talking about defensive actions. We're talking about successful pressures. We're talking about pressing. And Jota has always been a strong presser of the ball. So you can see here, 21 presses with a 26% success rate in successful pressing. That's the highest of his career so far. He is becoming more and more intelligent when it comes to pressing. That 26%, 5 presses per game. And in the attacking third, around about 8 presses per game, which again is higher than it's ever been before at Wolves. It was 5, 6. Now we're talking 10 and 8. Yes, Liverpool play higher up the pitch than Wolves, but with the level of success he's getting, we're winning the ball back higher. What this is showing is Diogo Jota is turning into one of the more stronger defensive players from an attacker in the Premier League. When we look here at his number of tackles plus interceptions, that's 1.8 per game. His level of intelligence seems to be increasing because 0.65 interceptions per game since he's been at Liverpool compared to 0.42 and 0.24. He is reading the game better. He's getting coached better from Jurgen Klopp to understand where he needs to be to successfully intercept a ball. It's not just about tackles. It is about interceptions, getting the ball back at that opportune moment to counter-attack quickly. So there's a lot of really positive data here. One final thing that I wanted to highlight was in the shooting. And it's something that it looks to have changed just this season, which is when you consider he scored the same amount of goals as he has his normal career, it's the distance per goal. So the average distance in yards, he's scoring from 10 yards out this season, and his normal average is 13 yards out. So he's getting closer to the goal. He's starting to play near the 6-yard box. As a centre forward, that's where you want them to be. You want them finding those pockets of spaces and scoring goals. He's getting closer to goal. And it's not that he's having more shots. His shots total is pretty similar. His shots on target is pretty similar. He's just getting closer to goal and seemingly converting better, which is great for us because you want a striker that can convert one opportunity when it comes up. We'll ignore Wolves, but he's seemingly getting more and more efficient, getting himself in the 6-yard box and putting away chances. And it's that level of efficiency, it's that level of cold-blooded striker that we're starting to see from Diogo Jota. That makes him slightly different from Roberto Firmino for me. We're in a situation where we've got a striker who is scoring a goal a game in Diogo Jota. He is doing the work that Roberto Firmino was doing in terms of pressing and counter-pressing, and he seems to be right up there in terms of world football for successful presses and winning the ball back high up the pitch, as well as his interceptions. And he's 24 years old. So he's coming into that prime period of his life where his football intelligence will continue to improve. His work with the front three will continue to improve the more games that he plays. He hasn't even played a full season of games with his front three as of yet. Diogo Jota seems to be turning into the signing everybody missed. When we signed Diogo Jota, no one was like, oh my God, this is an amazing signing. Everyone's going, you should have signed Timo Werner. He'd have been a better option. But we went with Jota, and his numbers, his stats, and how he fits into the way that Liverpool play seems to be evolving into a player of immense quality in the way that we play football. So for me, I would say Diogo Jota is now our first choice centre forward, just due to the additional elements of him being able to score a few more goals than Roberto Firmino. And I think we need to support that level of growth and that level of intelligence that we're getting from him so that he can continue to progress as a player, because he has not hit his ceiling yet. And playing alongside Mane and Salah, I think will only help him improve even further as we go through the year and as we start to get to the business end of the season, hopefully late on in the Champions League and pushing for the title. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, you like and you subscribe so that you never miss a video from me or any of the other LFC transfer room team. And what do you think? Do you think that Diogo Jota has overtaken Roberto Firmino as our number one choice 9.5, false 9? Or do you still think that Roberto Firmino brings something extra that Jota's not quite got there yet? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, thank you very much.